A muscle is defined as a band or bundle of fibrous tissue in a human or animal body that has the ability to contract, producing movement in or maintaining the position of parts of the body. Muscles move in many different ways. There is abduction and adduction, pronation and supination, dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, elevation and depression, flexion and extension, and rotation. There are many different functions of the muscular system: locomotion, assisting in respiration, maintaining body position, maintaining body temperature, and maintaining blood pressure.
In order for a muscular impulse to occur, a motor neuron from the brain fires. Acetylcholine is released from the axon terminal and binds to the motor end plate on the other end of the synapse. Acetylcholine travels down transverse tubules to initiate a muscular impulse. Calcium ions are released from the cisternae of the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Calcium ions bind to troponin, which moves tropomyosin, exposing myosin binding sites. Myosin cross bridges, or myosin heads, bind to the actin. ADP is released, causing myosin to flex. ATP binds to cross bridges, releasing myosin from actin. To end a contraction, the nerve impulse stops, ending the release of acetylcholine.
There are 3 different types of muscle cells. Smooth muscles have elongated, tapered ends. The muscle fibers are also separate. The visceral type of smooth muscle cells are sheets of spindle-shaped cells. Cardiac muscles are only found in the heart. They also contain intercalated discs. All of the cardiac cells work together at once. Skeletal muscle cells have insertion and origin points. They allow for body movement. Skeletal muscles attach to bones.
An example of homeostasis is shivering. When a change in temperature occurs, thermoreceptors detect a drop below the hypothalamic set point. This stimulates the primary motor center located in the posterior hypothalamus. This area signals the effector skeletal muscles to begin shivering, which creates heat as a byproduct.
Another example of homeostasis is the muscle's role in controlling breathing rate. Chemoreceptors adjacent to the respiratory center in the medulla oblongata are sensitive to the carbon dioxide content of the blood. When the carbon dioxide concentration rises, the respiratory center automatically discharges nerve impulses to the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles, causing them to expand and contract at an adjusted rate. When the respiratory center stops sending out stimulatory nerve impulses, the diaphragm and rib cage resume their original positions and exhalation occurs.
Motor neurons transmit electrical signals that cause muscles to contract. An electromyography, or EMG, translates these signals into values for a specialist to interpret. An EMG uses tiny devices called electrodes to transmit or detect electrical signals. During an EMG test, a needle electrode inserted directly into a muscle records the electrical activity in that muscle. A nerve conduction study, another part of an EMG, uses electrodes taped to skin to measure the speed and strength of signals traveling between 2 or more points. EMG results can reveal muscle dysfunction or problems with nerve-to-muscle signal transmission. Or, a doctor may perform a manual muscle test to determine a patient's ability to voluntarily move a muscle. Patients are often asked to hold a position against a therapist's resistance, and both sides of the body are tested for comparison. Manual muscle testing is a relatively quick method of evaluating strength. However, it is somewhat subjective. By using consistent test positions, accurate joint placement, and avoiding overworking the muscles, the reliability of manual muscle testing is increased. For the nervous system, muscle contractions are controlled by neurons. Motor neurons fire because acetylcholine binds to motor end plate, which travels down transverse tubules that initiates a muscle contraction.
For the digestive system, smooth muscles control peristalsis, which is an involuntary contraction of organs such as the esophagus in a circular manner. In addition, these muscles aid in digestion, such as the movement of the stomach during digestion.
The masseter muscle also is responsible for breaking down foods in the mouth. Various sphincters made of smooth muscle guard openings inside and outside of the digestive tract. For the reproductive system, the vagina is a hollow tube with muscular walls that allow it to expand and contract to accommodate a baby during childbirth. Muscles are also essential in certain sexual activities.
For the skeletal system, muscles are connected to bones by tendons and ligaments, which are necessary for skeletal movement, support of organ systems, and maintaining body shape. These muscles are attached to bones at origin and insertion points. Bones are moved by contraction of agonist, antagonist, and synergist muscles.
For the respiratory system, the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles are responsible for changing the pressure inside the thoracic cavity, which inflates and deflates the lungs. Muscular dystrophy is caused by abnormal genes, known as mutations, that interfere with the production of proteins needed to form healthy muscles. Symptoms include progressive muscle weakness and an inability to relax muscles at will following contraction. Duchenne muscular dystrophy typically affects boys between the ages of 2 and 3. Signs and symptoms typically include frequent falls, trouble running and jumping, walking on the toes, large calf muscles, muscle pain and stiffness, and learning disabilities. Muscular dystrophy affects the homeostatic processes. The maintenance of blood glucose is largely dependent on the ability of the skeletal muscles to regulate the supply of amino acids for glucose production. When muscles are damaged in muscular dystrophy, the mechanisms by which this control is exerted is impaired. Blood glucose levels are raised, and there is a significant reduction of amino acids in circulation. There is no cure for muscular dystrophy. However, certain medications and physical therapy can help improve quality of life. The prognosis for muscular dystrophy varies from patient to patient. Some children with MD die in infancy, while others live into adulthood with only moderate disability.